Yeah, 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 Urko. Hey, 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 look.
Yeah, what's going on? I go by the name of Steph Urkel, and welcome back to another episode of the Millennial Dungeon, baby. I go by the name of Steph. I'm my lovely co-host.
So bad. How are ya?
What's going on, sir? How you feeling?
I'm good. Just a typical hump day. So just trying to make it through the week. How are you?
I'm kicking it like a donkey. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of missed that. I'm not gonna lie. I missed hearing that.
Yeah, I know you did. Or trying to hate on my catch lines and stuff like. You know damn well you be thinking about that at night. You know that keep you up at night time. Got you sweating like kicking it like a donkey.
Or I wake up in terror.
So let's jump right into the topic. So, episode gonna be a little different. We're gonna be talking about voting in elections in 2022. So, we're going to pay attention to the elections or talking about the Senate. You know, be November 8th is where the elections for the Senate is going to be. You know, and for people that don't know what the Senate does, those are the people in the White House that actually are responsible for passing those bills that people always complain about. Be like, who passed this? Who passed this law? Why is it like this in Arizona? Why is this like in Texas? Well, that's the Senate. You know, those are the people that you gotta look at. You know, so a lot of people don't know that. So I have a question for you. Why do you think people don't really pay attention to the Senate, but they just so focus on the presidential?
Um, I think it's mostly because the president is who you see. So they're kind of like the face of the country, the representative of the country. And so I think just because that's the most visible person in government, leader of the free world and all of that, I think
Mm-hmm.
people automatically assume that anything that happens, it's the president. When in reality, you also have like the House of Representatives and all of those people that you would think are under the president. They're the ones who actually move the bills along, move these laws along, and they're the ones who are responsible for that too. So I think we have to do our due diligence to not get so blinded by the face of the country and look a little deeper into who else is also representing us.
Analogy I like to use when it comes to think about the Senate or Congress in general is like, you know how you had a car and the first thing people see are the rims, like the
Mm-hmm.
tinted windows and stuff, and you know what I'm saying, the paint job, it looks all nice. That's the president. But like, you know what I'm saying, the brakes, the engine, that
Yeah, the
stuff, that's the
transmission, that's all.
exactly that's the Senate, that's Congress. You know what I'm saying? Like they may not be the flashiest things or like the fanciest things to look at, but those are the things that keep it running. You know what I'm saying? Those are
Mm-hmm.
some of the most important things that you really gotta pay attention to. You know what I'm saying? You know damn well, like you love your rims, but that fucking transmission and engine go out.
You
You know what I'm
go.
saying? You know what's happening. So these are important things that we got on worry about. So how did you like? I had a question for you. Like, what are some like things that got you into like looking at Senate, or these like commercials that you looked at, or is certain websites that you will go on to actually find out about these people?
Um, well, I do look up who is, especially when it's like election years and stuff, look up who is in the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's really easy to just like Google them, figure out what their policies are, what kind of stances they have, how they voted on certain laws that were passed or weren't passed. It's a lot more accessible than a lot of people think. It just takes a little bit of effort to look into it. Even if you see a commercial and because I know for me, I kept seeing like Doug Mastriano commercials, like he's too extreme for Pennsylvania. And I'm like, what is this guy's deal? Like, who? Why
Yeah,
is everyone against Doug Mastriano? And there's some digging in now, I know, but
yeah.
you could even use that as a starting point because I know it's really hard. There's so much information, and it's kind of hard for people to figure out where to start as far as like how to look and how to start their research. But even if you want to just start there with like those political commercials that they show like 20 million times a day,
Yeah.
take the time out to actually look into the candidate and also the candidates who are against them, telling you in these commercials why they're so bad. actually do your due diligence to look at who they are and what they're about before you let these commercials and stuff influence how you're gonna vote.
Exactly. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Truth be told, I really don't watch that much TV that much. So like when it comes to seeing like a lot of political commercials, I really don't see a lot of them. So like if I see like an ad like on my phone or something like that, or like a notification, because I got like a political app thing where it like shows me like certain things like this politician they got caught up in this scandals, this certain thing. So like I see stuff like that, and like for the Senate, like Dr. Oz, he's running for Pennsylvania for Republican side, and like for the Democrat side is Josh Shapiro. So I look at things like that. Now, not gonna lie to you, when I was younger, I used to watch the Dr. Oz show. So I'm thinking like, oh, Dr. Oz, automatically good. He was a
I
celebrity.
used to believe him, like when he would
I'm
say
saying?
like, "Oh, Garcinia Cambogia, that's gonna help you lose weight." I was like, "I'll buy 50 of them." You know, I really thought like this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But now, I don't know.
Yeah, so Trump is funding him, you know what I'm saying? And we all know about that. So it's like, and I did some digging into him too, and it's got a little shady. It's a little shady past he has too, but it's like you said, it's your due diligence to actually do your research on him. I'm not going to try to persuade you to vote. Don't vote for him. Vote for this person. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I can just throw out names and say what party they are, and it's your job to do the research.
Yeah.
Like, why I need to vote for this person.
So for Senate, it's him and well, to be formal, Mehmet Oz. He's the front runner for he's the Republican candidate for Senate. And then you have John Fetterman, who's the Democrat candidate. Now, I will admit I didn't vote for him during the primaries. I voted for Malcolm Kenyatta. They got my boy out, but you know, we got John Fetterman now for the Democrats. And then there's also other parties running too. You have Richard Weiss, who's with the Green Party. You have Daniel Wasmer, who's with the Keystone Party, which I didn't know about. So I have to do a little bit more research myself on that. And then there's Eric Greinhardt, who's a libertarian running for Senate too. So these are the people who come November, which election day is November 8th. I don't know is it for everywhere? I know for Pennsylvania it's November 8th. Is that election day nationwide?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So come that day, you know, whoever wins then, that's who we have representing us in the Senate. So
it's kind of see, my thing is this too, like we said before earlier in the episode about when we think about, you know, a lot of people don't pay attention to the Senate because obviously when we think about on who's running, we obviously go to the president or maybe a mayor in our city and stuff like that. So my thing is this, like, do you think that a lot of us, are young, especially people in our younger generation, we kind of use things as an excuse not to like look up this information about who's running, like whether it's for DA, mayor, governor, senate, or do you think it's like we really don't know? Because I hear a lot of excuses nowadays.
I feel like a lot of younger people actually are more interested in politics than before. I see a lot of, I guess you would call them Gen Z, like below the generation below us. But they definitely do their part when it comes to, or from what I've seen, informing themselves politically as far as what's going on. And I also feel like our age group too, like we are definitely stepping up a lot more and taking a more active role as far as the different offices and the different candidates and things like that. So I definitely think that there is an increase as far as younger people's interest in politics. I do remember too, I think it was during, maybe it was Obama's second election or second term, but there was a huge increase in younger voters and like first time voters.
It was, yeah.
So I think that there is a trend of that. A lot of people our age younger who once they get 18, they turn 18, they are like making their way to the polls, they're actually voting, they're keeping themselves informed politically, at least from what I noticed.
Yeah. And I feel like in this generation too, it's like it's kind of bittersweet because like I feel as though it's more things for our younger generation to have access to, as far as like we got like social media, We got on TV commercials. It's like we got so many flyers. We got different programs now to get people into politics. It's like there's no excuse not to really know about like who's running anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because like back in like generations before, it's like if they had to actually like go out to like really find something out, or they had to go to a library to be like, oh, what does this do? Like, let me read a book about political government and political science and stuff like that. But it's like that's stuff you can Google on your phone for like 5 minutes. It's like why can't you take the time to do research on things that really matter or really going to affect you and the way you live? You know what I'm saying? Because when them taxes go up, you're gonna be like, well, who raised my taxes? It's like you should vote it. You know what I'm saying? So it's certain things that I feel like we can't we have no excuse anymore. Because I feel like I admit I used to be like that too when I was younger. Like, man, I don't know how to find this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where to go to find out who's running or how I'm supposed to know that he was corrupt and he got this shady past. It's like you can use Google. Same way you're gonna look up who the Eagles play at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I feel like my mom, like, you know them songs, you know them dances.
You better know. You better know who raising these taxes. Like, man. But it's like there's no more excuses no more in order to like get into like politics. So it's like I feel as though we gotta do our part to actually vote. And that's not me just getting preachy. It's just something you need to do.
And politics is kind of leading into pop culture too, because I mean, you had the whole when Donald Trump was the president, the media response was so overwhelming. I mean, we have SNL sketches and like all these monologues and jokes and stuff based on him. Even before that, when Obama and Hillary Clinton were running, AOC, even when Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed, like she's an icon to a lot of people now, not just because of like her politics, but just everything surrounding her. So it is becoming a lot more accessible, I think, too, because you don't just think of politicians anymore as these like stuffy old guys in suits being all corrupt. Like you do kind of see them in our faces now, especially because of social media. A lot of them are on social media. You got the the twerking.
Yo, we read each other, mom. I'm like, I know she's gonna say the twerking. I know. Yeah. What's her last name? Mac?
I believe so. I feel so terrible that I can't remember her name right now. But yeah, like you have candidates trying to use more creative ways to get votes, and they're using social media and they're participating in like different trends and stuff like that. So it's definitely becoming more accessible too, to where like they're more in the forefront. It's not just like, oh, you only learned about this stuff in history class. Like you actually see it now.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And it's like for people that just saying like, how can I get more involved or how can I learn more about politics? Just simple, just like use your phone, or like better yet, if you don't want to get like the whole 100% like gist, or just like do things like, I don't know, if you live in Pennsylvania, look up who's running in Pennsylvania. Look up who's your DA, look up who's your mayor, look who's your governor, and who's running for governor. Like simple things like that. Or Google, better yet, what does the DA or the governor do? You know what I'm saying? It's people that don't even know that. It's like simple things that can really like, I don't know, take baby steps into getting more into politics, because I feel like a lot of people expect you to know everything about politics just from the jump. Be like, what do you mean you don't know such and such voted in 1970? Like,
yeah, it is really overwhelming. It's a lot of information. The only thing that I could say really, or I guess advice for someone who's trying to get more informed about it, is to definitely look into things that you feel passionate about. If you find certain candidates or certain elected officials have certain stances that you like, or something that might sound interesting, definitely look into that. But I also encourage to just have an open mind too. Just because someone doesn't necessarily have the same political ideology as you, they might still have some pretty good points to make or pretty good policies too. So I don't think you should go into it with blinders on. Like, if you're a Democrat, I don't think you should just be like, I'm voting for this person because I'm a Democrat. Definitely have an open mind about it, because you never know. You'd be surprised who you might align with if you just like open yourself up to it.
Exactly. I was just going to touch on that too, because I feel like a lot of us blindly go into voting thinking like, well, my parents voted Democrat their whole lives, so I'm going to vote. Or my grandparents voted Republican their whole lives, so I'm going to vote for that. It's just like you said, just have an open mind and like just ask yourself, like, can this person like benefit my way of living, and also who does this person hurt? Like, yeah, this person may benefit my way of living if I come from a upper middle class like background,
Yeah.
but how many people do I hurt on the way doing that? Because I feel like a lot of people like look at politics, I want to say from a selfish perception sometimes, because we think of like, oh shit, it don't affect me, so why do I care? But it could though. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's why it's even
It
more
could
important.
tomorrow, even though it isn't today.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You never know that you might be at the bottom of the food chain. We never know. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why it's important to know all the people that are running for office, not just the person that, oh, you see commercials. Oh, that was a good commercial. I think I'm going to vote for him. No, look at all the people and look at a few of their policies and see like where you stand on each side.
Because also too, so it's the senator that is up for election in November, and then also the Pennsylvania governor, and there's also the United States representatives and the state representatives, and there's a lot of different districts when it comes to those representatives. So you also have to be mindful of like what district represents who, what district are you in, and look into that. And then we also have the lieutenant governor who's up for election, and also the state senator, U.S. senator and state senator. So correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm forgetting something, but I think those are all the offices that we have that are up for election in November. So again, I know it's overwhelming and it's a lot, but just start with your community, you know, like figure out what your district is and who's running in that district and who has what stances that you believe in. And also, like you said, they might have something that is beneficial to you, but it might hurt someone else. So you have to ask yourself, am I okay with that? And you have to stand in your decision and be okay with, you know, this is the person that I'm supporting and it's your reasons, you know, so
exactly.
you have to be confident in your choice.
Right. That's one thing too, because I feel like a lot of people don't want to say who they want to vote for because they're scared of what other people might think. You know, oh, are they going to judge me? But I also want to say, like, don't be afraid to have conversations like this with some of your close friends too, because I feel like we like to try to separate it from our personal lives too, like politics. No, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about serious things with my close friends and stuff like that. I just want to talk about sports and entertainment. But it's like these are certain things that affect you, whether you want to talk about sports and entertainment or not. So it's like you and your friends, especially as a millennial, note to self, millennial dungeon people. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you said it.
Yeah, he said it. But it's like we as millennials, we gotta do our part and we have to have these conversations like anywhere we go. You know what I'm saying? We just can't have conversations like that at work or something like that. Whether we at a barbershop or we just chilling at a friend's house, don't be afraid to have talks up with politics and like who we should vote for, because at the end of the day, they affect us whether we like it or not. So, like I said, do your part. And if you want to get informed, you got the you got the keys right here, man. It's very easy. So that's why I gotta say for now. That's all I got to say.
I did really quick before we go, I just want to let people know if they're interested in registering to vote, if they haven't already. The deadline to do that, I believe, is October 24th. And you can actually do it online. So you would just go to vote.pa.gov and you can register to vote that way. And then you can also do mail-in ballots, but the last day to request that is November 1st, and you have to return it by November 8th. So they don't do like the post date. I think it's called the post date. So like even if you mail it out and it's post dated for like a date before the 8th, they will not take it. So you got to make sure that you're proactive, and when you request it, you fill it out and mail it back as soon as you can. And then there are drop boxes, secure drop boxes that you put your mail-in ballot on. I don't know the locations off the top of my head, but I'm sure that if you go to vote.pa.gov, you can find out where the locations are in your area. And if there's anything else, oh, and polls are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. on November 8th. So make sure that you're able to get there. You should polling places are typically within walking distance of where
Yeah,
you live usually.
yeah,
But if you're not sure where your polling place is, then you can also check online too to figure out where to go.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, see, people ain't no excuse no more. They use all the gems she just dropped. You can't be like, where do I go? What should I do? So Vet just dropped all these gems for y'all. I don't want to hear no excuses like, I don't know how to do that, man. You know what I'm saying? And plus, if you don't like somebody or you feel like, oh, all these politicians are corrupt anyway, I don't like this person we got in office now, vote them out. Get them up out of there. Like, this simple. Do something. Use your right to vote
I
for.
mean, you can mail it in, like if you're worried about oh, I can't make it or anything, you can even request the mail-in ballot and you can just return, like give it to someone in your polling place and you could vote early too. So there's lots of ways that you can definitely let your vote count if you are interested. So definitely don't let it go to waste. And it's free. So like, the savings. You can't beat that.
Exactly. Come on, man. I don't know, man. It'd be like it's $5. You know how people come up with excuses for everything. So, like she
You
said, it's
can't
free.
beat it. It's a great deal.
I like the little fingers. You can't beat it. With that being said, I go by the name of Steph,
I'm Sylvette.
and this has been another episode of Millennial Dungeon. Peace.
Bye.
7, while senators are at least 30 years of age and citizens for 9. Another difference is who they represent. Senators represent their entire states, but members of the House represent individual districts. The number of districts in each state is determined by a state's population. Each state has a minimum of 1 representative in Congress and up to 53 for the state of California. And today, Congress consists of 100 senators and 435 voting members of the House of Representatives. In this next part, we'll look at how the House and the Senate differ in the way they conduct business. With 4 times the membership, the House follows procedures closely and limits debate. However, in the Senate, debate is nearly unlimited and all members have the opportunity to influence legislation. Therefore, senators feel less pressure to move quickly on issues. And don't forget that the entire membership of the House of Representatives is elected every 2 years, so the House will vote on rules that apply for the next 2 years they are in office. On the other hand, only 1/3 of senators are elected every 2 years, while 2/3 of the senators remain current members. Therefore, the Senate is a continuous body and depends more on tradition when determining procedures and rules. In this last slide, we'll look at the differences in leadership between the House and the Senate. The House elects a Speaker, or Speaker of the House, who exerts a great amount of control and influence. The Speaker is in charge of the calendar, like what bills are debated and when that occurs, and influences the House Rules Committee in deciding the legislation to be considered. In the Senate majority and minority leaders are elected by the members of their party in the Senate at the beginning of each cycle. The position for the Senate Majority Leader is dependent on which party is in power or which has the greater number of senators in office. Generally, they work together in consultation with all members to make decisions.
Yeah. Ergo.